conversations like this are so important because
Normalizing them, right?
it's not just normalizing, but like in talking them out, you oftentimes will discover there's like a common thread between like all three of us. Like, I've been sexually assaulted, I was sexually assaulted as a child, and I think that also helped formulate me in growing up, in maybe putting this image out
Of what?
of being like, because even as a teen, I was very overtly confident, almost cocky. I was a twat. Like, I was a twat.
A twat?
It's
a sexual reference.
In my, which is hilarious, right? I was a twat in my teens, in like early 20s.
So what untwatted you?
Honestly, becoming positive. Honestly, becoming HIV positive.
That would be a wake up call and a half. I mean, it was for me as well.
Because like at the time, all I thought I had to offer was just my looks.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like that's all anybody focused on for a really long time.
Is that what you focused on for, as a younger person?
As well, but like it wasn't like me focusing on my looks and the image that I presented was not coming from a place of
vanity,
of sex. I mean, I was a professional dancer at 17 years old. I also had an eating disorder as well. And
so you just had this high confidence about yourself because you just knew that, you know.
I mean, I had this high confidence about myself because I knew how people were going to react to me. Like, I had been told at a very early age that I was very good looking, very sexy, sold all of that very well, and like, and so
I like long walks on the beach.
like, I like long walks on the beach, fried chicken, and big dicks. Like, if you watched, Jujubee on Drag Race, you'll get that reference. But yeah, I think these conversations are so
important to have. No, they are. I think the way I viewed sex as I was growing up and when I was going through as a younger person, through trauma, through becoming HIV and having to accept that, and the way I view sex now is really different. Like, the way I view sex now, I just don't, like I say in my video, I don't want to deal with the nonsense or the bullshit. I could be very direct and very clear with people, or I could just be very quiet, and if I don't really feel like dealing with them or seeing them again. But I say this much: I'd rather deal with somebody who's on medication when it comes to sex, because if you're positive, it's best to be on treatment to control your HIV or can manage it. And if you're negative, it's just so much better to keep your immune system as strong as it can be and be on PrEP. And so in this day and age, like, you don't have to. It's wise to be on a medication if you're sexually active consistently. Right or wrong? I mean,
I agree.
Agreed.
Now, is it?
No. I was just listening to everyone talking. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to understand. Like, the line of, for me, it was that understanding that my sexuality was mine and not other people's to dictate. Right? Like, you talked about how many people told you were attracted to how many, and the difference between people telling you and feeling it is such a different thing, right? When people pervert, like you said, that you were so sexual and people knew. It's like,
wait, what did I say? Quote me correctly.
My sexuality, even though at a young age, right? Like, every person has natural sexuality. That doesn't give other people the right to pervert that sexuality, right?
Right.
So also, and that includes me. It doesn't give me the right to pervert my sexuality, right? So regardless of how I moved throughout life, there was times in my life where I realized, all these people are telling me what my sexuality is, or what it should look like, or what it should be, or because
your friends, the influence of your friends.
Well, I mean, it's usually
society.
There's friends, right? But then there's people who want to dictate what they think you should be like.
You're a bottom, or you're a top, and you just want to be a lolly bottom.
Okay, that's one way to control it.
Okay.
But if you understand, what I'm saying is
that
I have to do the work, right? And that's kind of what my video was about doing the work internally, right? My sexuality is internal. The work, the killer's inside the house. The healing is also inside.
The call is coming from inside the house.
It's coming from inside the house. So now when I go into these spaces, that's probably the problem.
There's a stranger
that's the exact problem.
But does your sexuality have to involve sex? Because one thing I've come to learn in my seasoned years is that I've wanted to find ways that I could feel sexy without having sex. So one thing I do is like body painting with my friend Charlie. He does these body painting photo shoots, and people be nude and there'll be boys around being nude, whatever. But no one's having sex. They're just it's creating art. And for me, being in tune with my body and feeling sexy, but not necessarily having to have sex was like, whoa, it was like Oprah, whoa, like huge. You know, because I always associated sexuality and my confirmations around that needing to have sexual acts. And that's not always the case. Nowadays.
I think that's a version of it. It's just like using sex to avoid life, right? Like there's been times in my life where I thought that would work, and those are the better. I think that's the healthier way to kind of deal with things. But like even with masturbation, I can use masturbation to not be present.
How often do you masturbate?
So I can use masturbation to not be present. And I have to be accountable.
It's a question.
I like to be present.
And the answer was depending on
how hairy your hands
on
are, right?
any
No,
given.
It's
like, when I don't want to be present, the number,
you like the oil
the limit does not exist.
No, the limit
when I
does
don't
not. The
want
limit
to
does
be
not
present.
exist. But I want to be present, right? I want to be aware, and it's the same way when I'm hooking up with people. I want to be present. I want to be aware. There's times where I don't want to be, but
and that's okay too.
And
as long as it's healthy.
There's been times when that has been okay. Currently, that's not.
That's not okay for you. That's not your story.
That's not my story today. My story today is that the less that I'm present, the less that I'm present, the less that I'm present. The less and that take that how you want to take it. The less that I'm present in any, I like to be accountable. Same like if I'm not, I can take my I can go to therapy and not show up. I can go to work and not do a job. I can I can be there with people and not be present.
Do you feel like that is now a part of what you need to do for like your self-care?
For my self-care,
To check out sometimes.
To check out in a what did I say? In a esteemable way, right?
Okay.
Like I can check out in esteemable ways now, right? If I'm going to do things or
they're very managed.
pursue stuff, that they're honest.
Right.
I don't know if they're managed, but they're honest, right? It's like I'm hooking up with this person, or I'm trying to avoid this feeling. I know that this is not the solution, but this is the best thing that I have today, and I'm honest about it. And when I finish that thing, I don't feel less of a person because I'm honest with myself. That's
So that's selfly true. I truly.
And I'm honest with the other person. Me and the other person are very. I'm not trying to fool them into thinking this is something that it's not.
Oh no, I agree with you. I don't think foolery. I just think is foolish to begin with because it's not really living your truth. But do you always have honesty with all the people you have sex with? You do not engage in spontaneity or spontaneous sex anymore?
For me, that's not the way my life has kind of panned out. When I do hook up, it's never really random. It's not necessarily we're gonna be husbands.
No, you've done. Yeah, I hear you.
Again, I'm in a different place in my life. This is not to say that I haven't done these things before, but currently, no. When I hook up with someone, it is. There's thought behind it. There's intention. It doesn't have to be the intent. It's not for us to end up being married, but the intent is that I know your last name, and when I pull out, I'm still going to want to have the conversation with you.
Okay.
And
that's good because you've grown to that and knowing that's at least the standard for what you want for your sex life.
Is there spontaneity for you?
For me, I think that it really depends what I'm dealing with, what I'm going through. If I'm talking to a person and I'm kind of kicking it, or we were just like buddies. Like there are people who I can frequent. And there's an understanding and connection that I have with them because we know each other. We've grown a repertoire. And then at the same token, like for traveling, when you go on trips or whatever. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That's a rule that many people go by, And so sometimes, I have my escapades or my episodes where it's like I don't want to have so much of a connection. I like the anon. Or I like the less knowing is better kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, because again, that's that non-consequential thinking comes into play with that. But sometimes after we have sex, if I'm still interested in like knowing and dealing with you, then I'm like okay, and then I'll dig in more. Yeah. But after.
Do you think that in those times that you can allow spontaneity for you is because you have prepared?
Yeah, that was going to be my question too.
Because you have prepared in what may come potentially, or because like
I know
with past experiences, but you do now in applying the concept of knowing better and now doing better now that you are more equipped to handle whatever may come.
Yeah, and knowing better and doing better. So I know myself more now, and I know what's better for me is to like stay single for now, and to kind of like just focus on me and developing myself.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like, you know, engaging or having a good time, or just, you know, or even if it gets to be sexual and crazy, like that's gonna be the fun of it. But I'm not gonna allow myself to just be swept away or get into situations that I don't want to be with another person. I want to continue focusing on the love for myself. I want to continue just focusing on developing myself. But if I choose to have fun, it's really on a not so serious basis. Like, you know what I mean? I don't take the I don't make love. Well, let me not say I don't make love. That's kind of cold. But like I'm not interested in having anything built or getting married, and not right now. I'm not.
Oh, Miles, I think you know, I think what you were saying about like being prepared, right? Like it's like, you know, when we talk about the honesty, we talk about the being prepared,
Yeah.
we talk about the prep, we talk about the pep. It's like, you know, if you know that you've went to your doctor, you know that you've had all your screenings, you know, you can show up and be more spontaneous, right? Because it's like, honestly, I know I'm good to go, you know, but I can also communicate that, you know, hey, I've checked in, all these things. When we leave this hookup, I shouldn't be leaving with anything I didn't come with.
Because,
Well, I mean,
how often do you, like, if you're on the apps, like, and it's there, but, like, how do you, like, are you one of those people that, like, read the actual profile?
Well, I don't really do it as a sport anymore. I used to get in the apps as a sport. Like, that's where I was bored, like, you know, as a pastime. But no, not anymore. And honestly, whatever I read from the profile, whatever pictures you said, it's when you're in my face that I'm really gonna call the shots. Or because if I'm not attracted to you in my face, or whatever you may send me can be bullshit. I'm so used to the bullshit and the catfishing and all these other things. I would be the foolish one sending my pictures.
Rapping, yeah.
And you know what I mean? But I'm rather a person in my face, and then we could deal with what's gonna happen and how this is gonna go down.
Well, you know, so, and that's,
That's right.
you know, just to, in that, you know, that's why I thought it's so important to talk about consent and being able to rescind my consent, right? Because even if I get started down this road and I say, you know what, I don't feel like either one of us are prepared for this, I have the right to say, you know what, no thank you.
You've always had that right.
And that's the thing, is
But
that's
it's
why I
the
found this
discovery.
important. A lot of people don't
It's
know
that,
that they
it's
have
that
that right,
self-discovery.
I hear you.
Again, and that, and just...
So like if you started down a hookup, you get to that guy's place, his pictures don't match his dick, or this,
You can get him right then and there and walk away.
You can always get up and leave. You can always stop mid coitus. You can always be like, hey, you know what? Actually, I changed my mind. Pull it out. I'm done. You know,
At
whatever
any
you gotta
point
do.
during a sexual experience, it's okay to just stop and wrap it up, and just keep.
And that means two things.
These conversations
You don't need to explain nothing to nobody.
These conversations are just...
They boil you up.
We need, it's the ones that we just need to be having, and I love it.
Now I'd be the one over it if somebody said, "We hooking up and they leaving me." I'll be like, "Wait, baby, you're not done. Where you going? Get over here!" I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That doesn't happen to me.